The reason they quit cutting down here is where are these boards going to go, kids? Where was we going to send them to? Mackinac Island, weren't we? What's between here and Mackinac Island? Water. Lots of water. Why don't we just leave the boards hooked on the log and float the whole log over to the island? So what he would do, when he'd get one of these done, he'd have somebody else, a family member probably, draw it down to the lake and let it lay there. When he got about 25 or 30 of them, he'd put them out into the water and start hooking them all together with these. They're called a raft shackle. Drive one spike into one log, one into another log, and just keep have a boat come over to the island, haul them over to the island, drag the logs out of the water, cut the boards off, and use them. Pretty clever. All of this was being done about 200 years ago. Over on the island, there's a place that was built in 1825 called the Mission House. It's still there now. One of these little blocks that was left over after they sawed the boards off was found in the interior wall when they were doing remodeling in about 1890. And believe it or not, folks, they were getting ready for tourism. The fur trade had died off. The military, meaning the United States, the military had given the fort over to the National Park System, and thank goodness they had no use for it, and they gave it over to the state. And at that time, evidently, we had somebody in there that knew what they were doing, so they hung on to it. And this was probably one of the first parks in the United States. That place over there that was built in 1825, when they pulled the wall apart and found a couple of these little blocks in there, and it'd be a lot narrower than this. This is an over-exaggeration. That told them that place was built with the material from the original mill. We built this, we used a book that was published in 1795, which was 5 years after Robert Campbell built this mill. The name of that book was The Millwright's Handbook of a Water-Powered Mill, and that's why we feel it's pretty accurate as far as the way it operates. 140, 150 boards a day here, 10 to 14 boards a day over there, doing it by hand. Any questions? Come on now, because I know I didn't do that good.
Besides the saw coming from Spain or the foundry in Europe, what about the bolts to hold the blocks together and things like that? Did they have iron that they could use for that, or is there some other way to hold it together?
That I cannot answer. I don't know. I do know on some of the carriages and stuff that I have seen in museums and things, they would have a bolt. But I'm not sure whether they were correct in showing them that way or not. I don't know. I know they had nails, and they did have, oh, by the way, about the time this opened up was about the time they started getting manufactured nails. I read that in a diary. The little boy says, Papa said the nail business is going to start drying up, going away. We saw a keg of nails up at the store at the fort, and they were the manufactured kind that was stamped out, and they looked every bit as good as what ours did. So that would have been about 1790 when they started crossing over on the nails. Anybody else got any questions?
So to make this into board, you got to make a series of parallel cuts here. Is there a system for shifting the log by a certain amount and keeping the log turning?
Me. If you want an inch board, you're going to shift it at 1 1/4 inches, and then shim it to make sure. What you're worried about isn't anything on here. It's on that side over there. Only after you've got your log square, you need the same distance between the pin and the log on both ends so your saw will travel straight.
What kind of wood are they cutting in number 2? Did they ever have any accidents?
Nothing was ever spoken of, and I doubt it because of the fact it doesn't move fast. They cut white pine, and if they cut hardwood, they pull that pin up there and move that arm up and shorten the stroke. That would turn the wheel slower. They were pretty ingenious, they really were. And the thing of it is we really can't take credit for this because it came over from Scotland, remember? Scotland probably stole it from Europe, and Europe probably had it for 400 years before we ever had it, so. But it was a big deal here. Anybody else have any questions? Do what now?
What do you do when you get through the water every time you demonstrate?
When I get clear down here to the edge, then I have to back. Remember I was showing you how it backs up? I have to back it up and get it all the way back up into that block down there and then move it over.
How do you slide it over?
Different bar, that's that bar. That's what these round pegs are for. You can get leverage. Anybody else? I'm gonna ask you folks if you'd like, walk around and go down below, and I'm gonna run this real quick and show you how it works underneath. Thank you so much for coming, folks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. They used to come down here and play, and they said there was some debris here, but they couldn't tell anything. It was just, and then when they did their archaeological work, the only thing they really found was little trinkets, like buttons and pipes and pieces of saw blades and stuff like that. Nothing was significant.
Speaking of saw blades, how long does that last before it has to be sharpened?
I can run that one there for about 2 months doing demonstration. So I would say probably about 3 weeks running it steady, okay, pushing it.
So you probably had several of them then.
I would expect, he made good money. Over there they get 8 cents an hour for 2 men, 10 boards. That's 16 cents. If they doubled it when they sold it, they probably did more than that. If they doubled it when they sold it, I got something, just a second, I'll almost stop. This is what made your saw blades go up and down. That's what made your log go backward. That's all the water it took to move that 800-pound log backward. They're going to have a nature program under the pavilion up there by the visitor center that you're invited to. Wherever you go safely and have a good time. Thank you so much for coming. There was a
Talking about how long the saw blades last.
Oh, yeah. They got paid 8 cents a piece over there for a day, and they got 2 of them. That'd be 16 cents. If they doubled the price when they sold it, and they do more than that, that'd be 32 cents. That would be for a minimum of 10 boards. Take that and come over here to that 150 boards, he'd make about, at that rate, $4.80 a day. 8 cents had the purchasing power of what $35 a day had. That $4.80, he's making money. And I'll bet he ran right, like you said, I'll bet once he got running, he ran off on those saw blades too. You betcha, because them iron blades are going to be brittle and they're going to be fragile.
Yeah. I would imagine you were good at sharpening, or at least figured out how to be good at sharpening.
Yeah, and he'd have to cut that blade up every day with a file.
Yeah. You don't want to slow down production.
The thing that amazes me is we must have been cutting almost around the clock in the springtime. We get 140, 150 boards a day. I mean, I know I might be slow in setting up compared to him, but I'm not that slow. And when he had the head clean in water to where he could run around the clock, he had to be working almost around the clock.
Yeah. Well, will the pond keep up with it if you run that fast? I mean, you probably have to have some brakes in there and
Now, I came in here a month ago. We'd had 3-inch rainfall that night. I could hear the dam. If you look at the dam right now, you won't see any water coming over. I could hear the dam clear out the parking lot. When I got down here, the water wasn't going over the dam. It was going about 3 feet and then dropping. And it was roaring so loud. And when I got in here, this mill was vibrating up and down. Yeah. And I went out and walked around and looked at the pilings down there to make sure everything was solid. And I came in here that day, the water was even running over the sluice. And I ran that all day, and I ran it hard that day because I had all the water to do it. Never dropped that pond in any area. So in the spring, he'd be all right, but after that, it was going to be touch and go.
Well, thank you, sir.
No, thank you. It's my
Yeah,
pleasure. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. That's one of the most informative demonstrations I think I've ever seen.
Oh,
I'll second that.
It was.
Yeah, it was very good.
Very good. A lot of good information.
something you guys would be interested in. Get this thing backed all the way up. Get your pins pulled. Get that log out of here. And I'll bring a new one in. And they would not, I don't care what the part says, they tried to teach me, to tell you, they'd square that log in here, and I'm telling you, they would not. Why is he going to waste his precious water that he knows he's going to be limited to cut them slabs for firewood? He's going to only use that water for the boards he's getting money for. He would square them logs up in the middle of the winter with axes, just like they did over there. Yep. The other thing, make believe this is about 4 foot long.
Okay.
And it's about 2 foot this way, maybe 12, 18 inches here. All that is it looks like a great big rocker. You got 2 of them. Lay one down, lay the other one down, roll the log up on it, get a big block, get a bar, pry that log, brace it up, turn these upright. Run a pole through here and a pole through here on both of them. Now you've got a platform rocker. Drop that log down on there, put a rope through here, do that pulley, and out there, have an animal pull it, and that rocker goes. You drop that log right up here. Yeah. They call them a log jack. I run across that when I'm doing my research. They want me to tell you they're going to take something like that and put a rope to it and lift that log. I want to see the man to do it. That log has got to be every bit of 800 pounds. And that pulley or anything close to it, you just ain't going to have enough leverage. If you had a big one with a wheel on it like that, you might do it. But now if they put them in series of 2 or 3, he could do it. But I think this is the way they did it. They call them a log jack. And what they would do is them sleighs that you see pictures of with the logs all piled up, a couple horses.
Yeah.
They would use that to load that to begin with, and then they would put up holes, and they would take a rope, put 2 ropes, and go down around the log and back up and fasten it, and then have this end being pulled from the other side. And that log would roll right up on them other ones, and then it would get up there where they want it, and they just keep loading them that way. Okay. But to start out, they put the first couple rows as you go.
Thank you again.
You bet. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did very much.